Hello, and welcome to another season of WP Reflections, where we speak with some of the amazing members of the William Patterson alumni community about their time on campus and catch up on what they're up to now. This time, we're speaking with alumni who have returned to campus to work as faculty and staff, teaching and supporting the next generation of pioneers. So today's guest is Captain Michael Arp of the University Police Department. A 2004 graduate of William Patterson, Michael majored in sociology and criminal justice and married a fellow WP alum, his wife Catherine. His law enforcement career began as an undergraduate with his work with the Student Patrol and continued with his graduation as valedictorian of his police academy class, and has steadily grown through a series of promotions and distinctions since then. Meanwhile, he has furthered his education, graduating summa cum laude, impressive, earning an MA in mass communication from the University of Florida in 2022. Welcome, Michael. It's good to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
I am the 8th president of William Patterson, so I'm going to ask you 8 questions, 4 to stimulate our conversation, and then 4 quick lightning round questions. You ready?
Yes.
So, when I administer the oath of office to our University Police Department's newest officers who are coming from outside agencies, I talk about how this is a unique policing environment because you're dealing with young, impressionable lives, and your interactions with them can have long-lasting impact. How has your experience as a student on this campus influenced how you approach your job as a university police officer?
So I do a lot of the interviews for our new recruits or our new police officers, and I try to mirror that in the interview process. I explain to them it's a different environment here than it is on the road or in a municipal police department. As a student, I believe that I formed a connection with William Patterson University. So I think that helps a lot when I'm acting as a police officer here, because I do have that connection, much like a municipal police officer that grew up in a town that becomes a police officer in that town. I have that connection with William Patterson University. So I think that helps a lot during my day-to-day, and especially when I was on the road or in the detective bureau.
Yeah, when I first came, we launched the community policing initiative, and you guys have done a great job, the whole force, along with Sergeant Walker, and students have really appreciated the work that you've done in that space. So let's talk a little bit about what student life was like for you. So in addition to your work with the Student Patrol, you played some football, you were involved with the Student Government Association. Tell me about your student experience.
So, obviously I loved it so much I never left, right? I met all of most of my long-lasting lifetime friends here, including my wife. My wedding party was all William Patterson alumni. I still talk to most of them today. So William Patterson is really interwoven in all aspects of my life. As a student here, the professors were great. They went past the lesson plans. They really took the extra step. A lot of them became mentors, a lot of them life coaches, understanding that we're all young and impressionable. So we need that little bit of help every once in a while, even if it was just a conversation walking to the next class or walking to the student center. So I really appreciated that aspect of it. It was a tight-knit community within the criminal justice department, which was pretty nice. From a professional standpoint, I, as you said, worked at Student Patrol. It gave me a lot of experience in the police world before I knew really where I was going to go in that world. The head of Student Patrol at the time was a civilian employee named Karen Rodriguez. She worked with me and then eventually made me a supervisor and then introduced me to Chief Michael Horvath, who was the chief of police at the time here, which was nerve-wracking. He was an old-school Passaic police officer. I did not look like the cookie-cutter police officer recruit. I looked much more like a college student than a police officer at the time. I didn't realize that I was going to get a one-on-one interview with him, but it happened, and I was not prepared. I have no family in law enforcement. So I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't have anyone to lean on at the time. And during the interview, I was nervous, and I'm sure it showed. And when I left the interview, I really just thought it was a great learning experience for me, that the next time I did an interview, I would use that experience to help me get that job. I did not expect to get this job. A couple days later, Chief Horvath called me into his office, and he said, I saw some potential in you, and he offered me the job. I was floored. I did not expect it. And we lost Chief Horvath early on in my career. He passed away. But still today, I try to live up to the potential that he saw.
Yeah, it's always interesting. So many alum talk about the influence of faculty and staff, and that one person who saw potential in you when you didn't see it in yourself, and how it really changed your lives. The Student Patrol monitors entry 2, where I drive in and out every day, and they are diligent. They said, "We know you're the president, but we need to see your ID." I just think it's great. So you mentioned your wife, Catherine, who is also a William Patterson alum. Together you have a young son, Daniel. And I know that you coach several youth sports teams in your community. So it's another example of dealing with and leading impressionable young people. So do you find that coaching is a release because it's different from your day job, or does coaching benefit from your professional job as a university police officer?
So I think it's twofold. I do think it's a release. I teach young kids, so there's no pressure from family or friends or other coaches to win. It's just to play. So I get to see the joy in their eyes when they score their first goal or they get their first hit, and they really get to watch them fall in love with the sport. So it's just we do it Saturdays. So it's at the end of the work week, I get to go out Saturday mornings with my son and watch it. Recently, about 2 weeks ago, my son scored his first goal. So I try to keep the father-son separate from the coach and student or kid, and I try to treat everyone equally. He scored his first goal. He turned around and his arms were wide open, and he wanted an embrace. And I couldn't say no. So as he was running towards me, I hugged him, knowing that I'm not really,
Right.
I should keep it separate, but I couldn't keep it separate. So, and that joy was contagious. It made my day.
It's okay to be a dad.
Right. and then on the other side of it, I do believe that both it helps my job, or it helps my coaching, my job, but I also think that it helps my job being a coach, because I'm able to practice leadership skills that I don't normally get to practice every day at work. So as a coach, I get to see what works and what doesn't work. And even though they're young kids, it's still seeing those techniques either fail or succeed in real life scenarios. And then I try to bring them on to the job. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but it's different than just reading leadership skills in a book. Seeing them actually work is great.
So I'm curious how you think William Patterson students have changed in the 20 plus years since you've been associated with the university. In what ways do you think they're similar, and in what ways do you think they're different?
So I think the general idea of a college student hasn't changed in a very long while. At first, we're all here for an education and to get the skills that we can bring onto a career. But at the same time, we're looking for acceptance. We're looking for lifelong friends. We're developing ourselves, and we're trying to figure out where our moral compass is and our ethics and our social conscious. All of that, I think, is the same. However, it definitely has changed over those 20 years from a personal standpoint. Their ideas, our ideals, their thoughts on society, their expectations, I think, have changed drastically since I was a student here. We had different thoughts on our roles as young adults than they do as young adults now, which I think is great. They're empowered. They really do believe that their decisions are making a difference. Whereas when I was a student here, we didn't have the outlets that they do. The social media reach wasn't there. I'm old enough to say that I'm pre-Google, I'm pre-Facebook. So we didn't have that reach, whereas now if someone has an idea, if someone has a great idea or a way to empower other students, they can get online and voice their opinion, and their opinion is actually heard.
Yeah. There are advantages to being pre-Google and pre-Facebook, I think, in some ways. So now the lightning round. So these are short answers to 4 quick questions. So what would the title of your autobiography be?
So I think Don't Forget Your Roots is something that I try to live by in all aspects of my life. It was a lyric from a song that I used to listen to when I was a student here. And it really just makes you think about your past before moving on into the future. And it helps, I think, as a police officer, because sometimes it's hard to remember when you weren't. And so give me a little bit of understanding as students and even in regular life. Give me an understanding of where I was to help me get to where I need to be.
I always say college fundamentally changes you, but there are parts of you that always remain the same.
Yes.
So besides your son's first goal, what was the greatest single highlight of your career here at William Patterson?
So in 2015, I was inducted into the New Jersey Police Honor Legion.
Oh, that's great.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. I was inducted with several other William Patterson University officers, which was really cool that we were all together at the time. And we were able to save a life of someone who was in crisis, a student that was in crisis. And so we were all inducted.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what was your toughest class at William Patterson?
Hands down, Research Methods 2. I have never worked so hard to get a C in my entire life.
And who taught it?
Professor Tardy. She's still here.
She is still here.
She challenged
When I talk to her, I'll
person.
tell her that you mentioned it, that it was her class. So what would be the single best piece of advice that you could give today's students, no matter their major?
So I think choosing a career that you're proud of and walking a path that inspires you to be a better person is the best advice that I could give. You shouldn't choose your career solely based on salary or esteem or acceptance. If they can just pick something that, they really feel passionate about, I think they'll go much further in life than just choosing something because a parent said so or their friends are doing it.
Yeah, I always say follow your bliss. Follow your bliss.
Yes.
Well, great. So thanks for playing today. It was great to have some time to chat. And of course, thank you for all the great work you do supporting our students and keeping our campus safe. And I always say if you don't have a safe campus, you don't have a campus. So thanks for all the great work that you do. We really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
talking to us.
Thank you very much.
So